Finneas. I don't even know where I was gonna go. Do you feel like Finneas is as versatile as Young Thug? No, I don't think
Well,
so.
not as a performer. He's a talented guy, though.
Yeah,
That much is known as a multi instrumentalist and
Grammy award winning.
arranger of songs, writer,
Mhm.
co-writer of songs. We know he's a talented guy, but obviously his collaboration work with his more famous sister is a little more tried and true
Notable.
than his solo performance.
Yeah. So I mean, I think that's the thing I could just kept coming back to as I listened to Phineas's debut album, Optimistic. We've heard some tracks from him, here and
Optimist.
there. Optimist, sorry. Um, I just I feel like he does a lot of the same stuff Billy does, but just not as good. And I don't mean to like bag on him. Like he obviously is a very talented guy, like you said, but it's just really hard to listen to him and hear a lot of the stuff Billy does and just not be like, well, I just want to go listen to a Billie Eilish album right now,
Yeah.
you know?
Well,
So,
and I would even take it a step further. I feel like he gives his best stuff to Billy.
yeah,
You know,
that's probably true.
how much of this could just be leftovers? How much of this could he maybe have actually intended to at one point help write for Billy, and then it didn't make Happier Than Ever, so it ends up on the
Yeah.
Phineas album. I don't know. You know, I'm sure not all of it, but maybe some of it, maybe some of the ideas, because he's got a lot of quote unquote ideas on this from a lyrical perspective. But I think as a songwriter, it's a lot more heavy handed than you'd expect for someone who has got a lot of just credit for his songwriting already, obviously for his work with Billy. So, on the other hand, I actually thought it sounded more interesting than a lot of Happier Than Ever.
Mm,
Obviously, the second Billy album, a little more mellow than I think most people expected. And there's some exceptions, of course. Oxytocin, Therefore I Am do not apply here. But for this Phineas album, I was like, oh, there's actually, some like really nice piano on this. And
oh yeah.
in general, he's a talented instrumentalist, and I believe he is the sole writer, producer, and instrumentalist on
Mhm.
all these songs but one. So there was a lot of intentionality still, So I kind of have two minds about this one.
Yeah, I agree with what you're saying about the quality of the songs in terms of like the sonics and the instrumentals and the arrangement of it all. I think he's incredibly talented with that, and the songs sound pretty good. Like I think I just did not really feel like there were any tracks that totally grabbed me on this. There's a few that stood out. I liked "The Kids Are All Dying." I think that's the second track.
Yeah, nice
Um,
piano there.
yeah, really enjoyed that one. I liked Medieval,
Yep.
which we're going to talk about a medieval movie in a little bit, but the clapping and the drums in that together, I thought
Hmm.
really perked up the album a bit for me. Um, Around My Neck was another track
Yep.
that stood out to me. Seems like we liked a lot of the same ones, huh?
Yeah, it's actually funny to think too, because on Medieval, he seems to be kind of theorizing about internet celebrity and how that culture waxes and wanes, and you get shoot out and spit out and all that. And yet, I don't know if he's actually ends up saying anything super profound on that song. Like, I get what you're talking about, but it's
Hmm.
almost a little too basic lyrically. Same thing with the '90s,
Oh yeah, I
which
felt like that was a miss
just
for
kind
me.
of a bland nostalgia thing from a lyrical standpoint, but also doesn't sound too bad in terms of like the actual performance and the
Hmm.
production. So but as you say, it's kind of hard to separate it because we have a higher lyrical standard already established because of his work with his sister.
Hmm. Like, so around my neck, I think is one of the best examples of a song that sounds like it probably is a B side from a Billy album that just like they're like, we just don't need that for this because it's that like groove, the da, da, da,
Yes.
da, 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 is like a very Billy almost like trademark. I feel like in a
Yeah, the
sense, it
first
really
album.
stood out. And then I think even like the first one, a concert 6 months from now feels like a leftover from Happier Than Ever. It's like that guitar, like kind of
Mm,
simplified sound that I get what they're going for and like that heartbreak, album song, but just not really something that stood out to me. But I did want to say the last track, How It Ends, I
yep.
thought was a nice way to wrap the album up.
I like the groove on that one.
Yeah. I like the clapping with it and just you see why them together as a pair makes a lot of sense because I feel like Billy brings a bit more of a star and vocal performance that Finneas just doesn't have at this point, but he's
Right.
obviously super talented in the production and arrangement side. So sometimes duos are a good thing. So
Yeah. And, I wouldn't rule out him becoming, improving down the line as a
oh,
soloist
absolutely
either,
not.
given the talent. So, we'll stay tuned. No question about that.
Absolutely. And we'll probably throw one of his tracks onto our Nostalgia Best of 2021